Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Drew, and I want to welcome you back to Learn How to See Better. And I also want to welcome you to spring. It's spring 2020 now, and I'm just taking a quick moment to pause and enjoy the beauty of nature. It's a beautiful day outside. It's beautiful blue sky, birds chirping, light breeze, nothing but sunshine, and I'm really thankful for that, right? And I'm thinking about how it is spring and the whole idea of spring and what the word means, and it's full of energy. And you think about when you change the clocks, right? You spring forward. And I feel as though with the changing seasons, it's a great opportunity to spring forward. And one of the best ways to spring forward is to give additional focus to a given area of your life. I was actually having a conversation with someone recently, and some of the things that come up in conversation, actually remind you of instances where you might have helped someone or given them advice. And it actually brought back to memory a previous podcast episode I was doing with someone talking about how you can make impact in a relatively short time because, it's spring. It seems like it was just spring, it was just cooling off here in Arizona, and now it's about to be heating up. So you think about the idea that it's spring, you get this little window before it's about to be the hot season, but you have a great opportunity to really enjoy that window of time where you can take advantage of things you've been meaning to do, maybe things that were too chilly to do in the winter, or you had some reason, or you had the holiday season holding you back, and now you can spring forward, right? You've got the new year, you've got whatever New Year's resolutions or goals that you've got set for the year, and you can really, as the weather gets better, as your weather gets better, your mood might get better with the seasons as well. The sun is rising earlier in the day. It's a little bit easier to get up for some of the sluggish type that don't like to beat the sun up in the morning. All the signs are there that really set the stage for growth. And that's one of the exciting things that I like about spring. Even when you look outside, you see the first beginnings of new life with the green of the plants that comes out. And in Arizona, in the desert, you really can notice that, especially when there's a whole lot of brown all around. When you start to see some of the trees come into bloom and blossom, it's beautiful. And you realize that there's, it's just a natural opportunity to really kind of step into your own and really get the momentum of the year going as you get to better weather, longer days, more sunshine. You've really got probably more of the movement and the groove of your current year underway. Right. And now you've already gotten into a series of steps that you can use to your advantage to start building momentum. And I think that's really important as we look into the second quarter of the year. You want to feel like 2020, the start of a new decade, is really going the way you want it to, and just constantly reminding yourself of, how quickly, time passes, right? And how, if you've got things that are important to you, you want to take advantage of the good weather window, right? In Arizona, it's especially where I live, it's one of these scenarios where, hey, guess what? If you got a whole bunch of outdoor things, you better get them done before June, or you might have to put those off for a few months because it can actually be, unsafe to be, out in the extreme heat with some activities. But anyway, just making the point that spring is a great season to take action, to utilize the natural change of the seasons, to get your mind, to get your body, to get your spirit in alignment with the planet we live on, and just take full advantage of that. And that's just one of those tips I wanted to give to kind of remind folks that there's almost some of these unfair advantages you can put into place for yourself. And some of those are just the simple changing of the seasons, using those to adjust your routine to be that much more effective. Another way that I was saying you can take advantage of the season is to really start to evaluate, to take that time out, right? Maybe after the first quarter of the year is done, no different than in a sports competition, right? It's not quite halftime, but at the end of the first quarter, you take a quick break, you change sides of the field, right? You get a chance to quickly regroup and get ready to get back out there and perform for the second quarter to move into a strong halftime. But you do have those moments where you can take the time to reflect, That's one of the key elements of learning how to see better, to be able to have proper reflection, to be able to reflect with accuracy. That's going to be very important as you look ahead to make this your best year ever. And it's funny, I think that one of the things that I've even had the experience of being able to do is sometimes go and look at different experiences I've had and say, wow, maybe in the moment you might view something a certain way, but when you go and view it from a different perspective, you realize it might not necessarily be so bad, right? Let's say all of a sudden you might have something that you watch on TV as an example. The first time you watch a movie, it might seem super scary. You're just on the edge of your seat the whole time, especially when you're a kid watching your first scary flick, right? But then you might see that same movie as a teenager, as an adult, and you might chuckle at it and not even think you could ever have been scared because it seems so basic or rudimentary. So it's all about the different perception, the filters you have that you experience, an event through that's really going to shift and shape how you receive that, how a certain event makes you feel. Right. So that's important as we go through and look at our own situations. Sometimes it's important to look at our lives through the standpoint of, today you might be angry that you stubbed your toe and you can't believe that, someone would possibly put that piece of furniture right there. And 2 weeks later, you realize that you were the one that moved the furniture in the first place, and you kind of laugh at the scenario. So that's a very simple example of how we can go and look at events in our life. But let's take it a level deeper, right? What if you had, an intense, heated debate with somebody that's important to you or close to you in your life? Why did that situation go down that way? What was the reason that the communication efforts, went down a bad path? Sometimes you have to look at that and say, well, after the fact, it makes sense that person A thought that person B meant this, or vice versa. And you can see that more for what it was, what was actually said, and what the responses were to accused phrases or words or commentary, when in the moment you might think that this person responded this way because they were just rude or mean or cold-blooded, but it might have just been the reason the person received the information a certain way had to do something completely different in their life that made them a little more sensitive. So that's just an example of how even in interacting with people that are close to you, we've all had a conflict with someone close to us before, and you realize later it's like, oh man, that shouldn't have even gone down that way, and everyone's sorry and they're able to hug it out and all is forgiven. But in that moment, right, you saw the world through a completely different lens. So it is important to be able to look at things, especially as we look to make minor adjustments and enhancements to our lives as we go and kind of self-correct the way that we operate in this experience called life. Is you want to have that means by which you're taking care of yourself. You're giving yourself the best guidance you can give as you see fit. And we all have an ability to reflect on what the events of a single day are. I think it's even more significant at the end of a week or at the end of a month, or better yet, even at the end of a quarter. You get a chance to really see the aggregate compound effect of everything you've been up to, right? If you'll even take the time to say, okay, what if my decisions and my choices I've been creating for me as far as an overall experience in my world is considered. And that's important to be willing to take that time, because how else will you get the opportunity to make those changes? Because we'll typically feel invaded upon if someone else comes in and says, hey, you don't seem like you're living your life right. You're doing this or you're doing that, or you don't, you sleep till noon every day and you don't do this, or you don't, whatever someone else's barometer might be of success and failure in your life. But the point is how you're looking at it and what your interpretation of it is, and how you can use that to your advantage to put yourself in the best position to reach your peak potential. So that's what I mean when I say we got to spring forward. And it's a really great idea to use the seasons to our advantage, the longer days, the sunshine to really just step out into and get exposure to first thing in the morning. It can really just help us feel good all the way down to the inside, to the bottom of our feet. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys as far as today goes, how we can all spring forward, use the recent arrival of the new season to just kind of make 2020 keep getting off to the year that you want it to be and make it your best yet. And until next time, I want to thank you guys for joining and catch you on the next episode. Thanks.